As you may know, the NRMP began collecting ranking and matching data 70 years ago when the match began, and in the past 10 years we've been collecting professional data. But with the ranking and matching data, what we don't understand right now is how an applicant moves from the application to the interview to actually ultimately getting into a program. And so the NRMP felt it was important to begin to collect this data, to have primary source data within our research capabilities, so that we could then put that with the ranking and matching data and better understand how one moves through the transition to residency. I think it's important to understand gender differences across all medical specialties, again, because we want to make sure that the workforce that we are creating is one that reflects the community that it's going to serve. I mean, there are some specialties that are heavily female, and then there are some specialties that are heavily male. That's a historic phenomenon, but if you look at the community, it's not heavily female versus heavily male. When we look at sex and gender and any of the demographic data points, to be honest, I think we need to keep in mind that this, again, is not just about physician training. It's about who they're interacting with, what communities they're training in, and as important is what community will they be training in once they complete their education.
My journey is unique because I grew up in an area where a lot of physicians didn't look like me. There were a lot of disparities where I grew up, and so I knew that I wanted to go into medicine to be able to change that.
Different specialties have different sex distributions. That's probably not going to be surprising to most of the medical education world. OBGYN and peds very heavily represent women. Other specialties not so much. But what was a bit of a surprise was that pretty much across the board in the specialties that we've looked at in any depth thus far, applicants who reported they were designated as female at birth were more likely to match into those preferred specialties than those who were designated as male at birth. And that goes well beyond OBGYN and peds. As far as gender identity, we didn't look at that yet because the numbers of applicants who identified themselves other than as the sex they were designated at birth is just too small as of yet. Next steps with the NRMP demographic data, we need to drill down more finely into some of the identity categories. At some point, we're going to need to look at intersecting identities and how those might have implications for the UME to GME transition. What I hope they take away is that there is an enormous amount to be learned. We're only at the beginning of the process, but there are a number of ways that the NRMP's demographic data could be used to inform next steps, to identify ways that processes could be improved upon, but also finding and identifying and calling out areas of strength and good stuff, and keep doing what you're doing and improve upon it.